Welcome to Dieu Han RV, where every story leaves a scar worth remembering. We hope you're well wherever you're watching from. Let us know what country you're in and what time it is right now. Today, everything changes in one unexpected moment. When two paths cross, one running from guilt, the other walking home with love. What will fate choose? Sometimes, the most powerful scenes aren't scripted. They happen in silence, with just one look, and all there leaves the room. Lam stepped out of the house, eyes dark, breathing heavy. The confrontation with Then had left him bruised, but not broken. He reached the gate just as Dieu Han appeared, her arms full of groceries and her child beside her. They both froze. She didn't know this man, yet something about him, his posture, his eyes made her alert. She gave a polite nod, her child tugging gently at her shirt. Lam's gaze flickered, guilt flashing through, though she wouldn't know why. To her, he was just a stranger, but to him, she was the one caught in the crossfire of a past he couldn't undo. Dieu Han sensed something wasn't right. It wasn't fear, just a strange tension, like two lives brushing past without touching, yet somehow connected. Lam opened his mouth but said nothing. There was no reason to speak. Not now, not yet. Dieu Han turned away, leading her child inside. Lam watched her go, wondering how many lives he had unknowingly changed or ruined, and whether silence would protect her or doom her to a truth she never asked to carry. From her doorstep, Dieu Han glanced back. That man's eyes. There was something tired, almost haunted. She didn't understand it, but she felt it. She shrugged it off and stepped inside, not knowing her path had just crossed with someone tangled in Than's hidden past. And though she hadn't spoken to Lam, his presence stayed in her mind like a shadow. Questions whispered inside her heart. Why did that stranger look at her like that? What history had she walked into unknowingly? Behind the door, Dieu Han exhaled deeply. She tried to dismiss the moment, to pretend it meant nothing. But her heart was restless. A stranger with eyes like storm clouds. And then, he'd been acting distant lately. Was it coincidence? Or did these pieces fit together somehow? Outside, Lam was already walking away, shoulders heavy. He hadn't said a word. But in silence, something had been exchanged. A warning, a pull. A spark of the storm that hadn't arrived yet. Do you believe strangers cross our path for a reason? Let us know your thoughts below. And if you're following Dieu Han's story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Dieu Han RV, and hit the bell icon, because sometimes the quietest moments hide the loudest truths. And one encounter, no matter how brief, can change everything. Dieu Han paused at the doorway, her eyes drawn to the quiet scene before her. Dan was sitting beside Tom, gently patting him to sleep with a tenderness that spoke louder than words. The room was warm, filled with the scent of simmering broth and peaceful breath. For a moment, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, the shape of a family. And it both comforted and scared her. She leaned against the wall, watching in silence, then didn't notice her at first, to focused on making sure Tom stayed asleep. The way his hand moved, slow and rhythmic, was almost like a lullaby itself. Her heart ached. This wasn't just a man helping. This was someone who cared deeply, and that scared her even more than being alone. When Tom finally drifted off, then stood up and walked to the kitchen, he didn't see Dieu Han following him with her eyes full of questions she didn't know how to ask. At the stove, then stirred a pot, humming a soft tune. He looked peaceful, like someone who had found a place in life, but she wasn't sure if that place included her. She walked over slowly, her steps uncertain. There was something on her mind that wouldn't rest. The man from earlier. Who was he? Her voice was calm, but then heard the tension beneath. He froze for a second, then smiled. Just a passerby. Asked for directions. First time I saw him. He turned back to the pot, pretending it meant nothing. Dieu Han nodded, but her thoughts didn't rest. His answer felt too neat, too rehearsed. She didn't push it. Maybe she didn't want to know more. Maybe she was afraid that knowing would change everything. Still, the feeling lingered like a shadow behind her ribs, a weight neither of them dared to name. Then handed her a bowl of soup, his eyes avoiding hers. There was too much between them now. Too many moments they didn't talk about. She took it with a small nod, feeling the silence grow heavier. The warmth of the kitchen no longer felt comforting, it felt like a place where too much truth was being swallowed. She glanced at Tom sleeping peacefully, then looked back at them. A thought crossed her mind. How long could they pretend this was just temporary, that nothing was forming between them? It scared her more than she'd admit, because love wasn't simple anymore, not with this much baggage, not with that man's strange appearance. The silence stretched too long. Dieu Han stood up suddenly, trying to shake the fog from her chest. "Hal finished cooking. Can you watch Tom?" Her voice was firm, but her hands trembled slightly. Than nodded, thankful for the task. It gave him an excuse to escape the storm brewing behind his eyes. As Than headed upstairs, he glanced back once. Dieu Han was tying her hair back, facing the stove. Her shoulders were tense, and for a moment, he wished he could carry all her weight for her. But some battles people have to fight on their own, even when they're standing in the same kitchen. She stirred the pot in silence, thoughts tumbling like waves. Did she trust him? Yes. But why did that man's face linger in her memory? What was it that unsettled her? The past always had a way of showing up without warning, and sometimes it looked like a stranger asking for directions. Upstairs, Then sat beside Tom, but his thoughts were miles away. He hated lying, but Lam's return wasn't something he could explain yet. He wasn't ready to pull Dieu Han into that mess. So he said nothing, and silence, once again, became the mask he wore too well. After finishing the cooking, Dieu Han wiped her hands on a towel and walked upstairs. The house was quiet, filled only with the faint sound of birds outside and the gentle rhythm of her own breath. When she opened the door, she found Than asleep beside Tom, his arm draped protectively over the child. The sight made her pause. Something about it felt painfully peaceful. She didn't want to disturb them, yet she stood there longer than she intended. Watching them breathe and sink, she imagined what life could be like if things were different. If pain hadn't torn so many people apart, if love didn't come with such a heavy cost. Then she turned, quietly closing the door behind her, and went to set the table. When Than finally woke up, he blinked, confused for a moment, then remembered where he was. Tom still slept soundly beside him. Slowly, he got up and walked downstairs. The smell of food welcomed him like an old friend. At the table, Dieu Han gave a small smile and gestured for him to sit. Neither of them said much at first. They ate slowly, letting the quiet wrap around them like a soft blanket. Then, as if to fill the silence, Dieu Han asked, "Do you always hum when you cook?" Than chuckled, surprised. "Yeah, I guess I do. Helps me think less. Helps me not feel too much." That made her smile again, a little deeper this time. "It's funny," she said. "I thought you were the serious, quiet type." Then shrugged. "Maybe I am, or maybe I just became that way." The world does strange things to people, especially to those who once hoped too much. They continued eating, the meal simple but warm. Then Dieu Han pointed at the stew. "This is good. I didn't know you could cook." Then grinned. "You think I let Tom eat junk? He deserves better." She laughed, the sound honest and guarded. It felt good to laugh. It felt like breathing again. The moment stretched out, soft and fleeting. No past, no guilt, no fear. Just two people sharing a meal in the stillness of a small home. She wanted to ask more about his life, about the friend who appeared earlier, but the warmth in the room told her to wait, to let this peace last a bit longer. Then finished his bowl and leaned back slightly. "You know, I never thought I'd end up like this. Living quietly, cooking meals. It's not what I imagined, but maybe it's what I needed." Dieu Han looked at him for a long moment. "Quiet isn't always empty," she whispered. "Sometimes it's the only place healing begins." They sat there in silence again, but now it felt different. Not heavy, just present, to people carrying pasts they couldn't erase, sitting in a moment that asked nothing of them but to be here, together. And for now, that was enough. Maybe more than enough. The dishes were mostly empty, the tea warm between their fingers. No decisions were made, no truths revealed, but something unspoken passed between them, a small, fragile thread of connection. And sometimes, that's how healing begins. A soft cry broke the calm. Tom had woken up. Dieu Han rushed upstairs, followed closely by Then. The moment felt like something sacred was interrupted when she entered the room. Tom reached out for her. Rubbing his eyes, the little boy's voice pulled them all back to reality, a gentle but undeniable reminder that life kept moving. Later, the three of them gathered at the table again. Tom sat between them, happily munching on rice while Then helped wipe his mouth. Dieu Han watched the scene unfold like a family portrait painted in soft tones. Their laughter echoed gently, but each sound echoed in her chest like a reminder of something she could never fully have. Dieu Han smiled, spoke, even laughed, but beneath her calm exterior, her heart was trembling. Every glance at Then and Tom together pierced her quietly. Was she merely passing through their lives? Or was this something she could build with them? The questions gnawed at her like small cracks forming in her carefully rebuilt walls. As Tom clapped his hands and shouted happily, Dieu Han excused herself to clean the dishes. She needed a moment alone. Her reflection in the kitchen window stared back, and she barely recognized herself. Her longing had shape now, her fear had a name, and it all came from the thought of losing what she never truly had. Far away, in a house surrounded by thick forest, Mr. Chin stood by the window, staring into the dark. The place looked abandoned from the outside, but inside it was fortified food supplies. Old maps, and even weapons were neatly organized. He had planned this. Every escape, every silence. Nothing he did was ever by chance. Mr. Chin sat alone at the edge of the wooden table, his fingers tapping rhythmically as if calculating something only he could see. His eyes were distant, yet burning with a strange determination. Thoughts ran like shadows in his head about debts, betrayal, and things still unfinished. Every breath he took reeked of danger. He pulled out a small black phone from a hidden compartment in the wall. It wasn't the kind you'd find in stores. It was untraceable. Burnt numbers, hidden lines. He stared at the screen for a long moment before finally dialing. The number wasn't saved. It was memorized. This call was not one to leave a trail. A low voice answered on the other end. Nail. Sharp. Dangerous. Mr. Chin didn't greet him. He simply gave a time, a location, and a coded phrase. Silence followed. Then a reply, short, cold, final. Mr. Chin hung up without a word. A new move had been made, one that could change everything. He slid the phone back into the wall, sealing it with precision. No one would find it unless they knew where to look. Then, he sat down again, opening a metal briefcase. Inside were old photos, maps, and notes scribbled in messy handwriting. One photo had Dieu Han's name written on the back. Mr. Chin traced his finger across her name. His expression didn't soften. Regret wasn't in his nature, but calculation, always. He studied the map again, connecting dots, tracing lines that led back to the village. Every route, every alley, he remembered it all. And now, he was ready to return. Somewhere far away, Dieu Han laughed with her child, unaware that the past had started walking again, and its feet were moving fast. What secret did Mr. Chin hide behind that call? Why is Dieu Han once again in danger? And what truth could shatter everything she thought was safe? Don't miss what happens next. Like this video, subscribe to Dieu Han RV, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss a single twist.